Hi everybody, this is Johnny. I'm going over Step 3, Reflect, for CalTPA Cycle 1 for multiple subject people. So, reflect on what you learned. Directions. Respond to the following prompts using the template provided. Cite evidence from Steps 1 and or 2 for each response. Now what this means here is that you want to say stuff that comes up. Step 1 is all about your lesson plan, so refer to your lesson plan. And Step 2 is all about your teaching, which shows up in your videos. And you remember in your videos, you have annotated them and you have timestamps where certain things have happened. So important here is that you do use those two reference points as evidence for what you're about to put out here in your reflection. So number 1, how did learning deeply about your students' assets and learning needs, and there are 2 parts here, inform or shape your lesson plan for the whole class, support student access to an engagement with a literacy or mathematics content. Okay, so this is you stepping back and saying how you believe your lesson was improved, made use of, did right by your kids because you spent time to get to know who they were, and you knew the things that they brought to the lesson that would shape, affect, and make better their learning. All right, so you need to set it out as the usefulness of knowing your students. Main focus of this cycle: teaching that works from students' assets and address learning needs. Okay, so the 2 questions I set out for you that fall into this. How did they shape, how did this know, how does that knowledge, knowing their assets and learning needs, how did they shape your planning? And how do they shape your teaching? Okay, so the next part, number 2, was your plan sufficiently flexible to support all students' learning, or did you need to incorporate specific instructional in-the-moment adaptations for particular students? Why or why not? Well, this is a bit of a trick question. CalTPA, or the way that CalTPA is coming to teaching, is that you should try to do both. Your lesson plan, you should have worked to make your lesson plan sufficient for the students you were teaching. Knowing that, and this is true teaching, there will be places where you will need to be flexible and adapt in the moment. So you need to think about how that worked, okay? How well did your lesson plan set you up because you were diligent and because you really tried to work from your students' assets and learning needs? How well did that set you up? But knowing that and not taking it as a fault, where in your lesson did you have to make adjustments to make it even better? Right? So don't make it a fault-oriented. Make it as I'm learning stuff, okay? Plan to teach all of your students in ways that come, in all the ways they come to their learning. That's what's asked in the first step. And this is about adaptations. What did you do during your teaching to make it work for your students? And as I was saying, don't knock your teaching. All right? What you want to try to be doing here is saying, I planned a really great lesson. And even with my great lesson, there were a couple places where I could make it better while I was teaching, and here's what I did. And this is why I made my teaching better here. Or this is why I stopped and made this adjustment. It's showing you as a live, living teacher, not somebody who's just working from scripts that you've written. Okay. So the third one, how did your instructional approach support learning for the whole class and for each of the focus students to achieve content-specific learning goals? This one's an important one. You have to do this one really, really well because this is a juicy one for points and such. First off, I'm going to suggest that you write 4 paragraphs. Okay? When they say learning for the whole class, you want to be writing about the whole class. The second one is you need a paragraph about the English learner. And the third one is a paragraph about the designated student, the IEP 504 student. And the next paragraph is one for the different learner. Do not bundle the 3 focus students into one paragraph. So if we look here, need to have something for the whole class and then one for each of the 3 focus students. So write a paragraph about each of the 3 focus students, how you supported them. And the support should be connected with not just making them feel good about their learning, but about what the content was, and you want to do it all with evidence. And the evidence is from student work and video, especially the video annotations. You can see if you have the student focus there, focus student in the video, then you can say focus student 3 did such and such and such and such. But you will also need, I believe, student work. Let's go ahead and see what the evidence is to be submitted. Okay, so it says here, be sure to cite evidence from your submission from step 1 and for step 2 for each of the response, and evidence to be submitted, written narrative reflection on what you learned. Okay, so it's a template, and you got to talk about what your kids got out of your teaching. Remember again, paragraph for each one of the focus students. And that's all there is for reflect. Hope this was helpful.